now available in paperback and e-readers. Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. This weekend, Malcolm D. Lee's Girls Trip opened to critical praise and a $30 million box office opening. And while this movie is being heralded as a hit, most people don't see the hit being taken to the image of the black woman. Because as black people go out to support this film, what they don't understand is that this film breathes new life into numerous old stereotypes regarding African American women and further tarnishes the image of the African American woman. Now, when I looked at the trailer for Girls Trip in February, I saw this film and I said to myself, this is nothing more than a repackaged minstrel show. Even in the title of the film, it degrades the image of black women, because when we look at these black women who are over 40 years old, such as Queen Latifah, Regina Hall, and Jada Pinkett Smith, the title of the film is Girls Trip, and they're saying that these black females who are mature women are behaving just like 17, 18, and 19-year-old girls. And many people won't see how that's a slap in the face to black women and how that degrades black women, because what is being said in the undertones of that title is that a grown black woman is nothing more than a child mentally, because we look at the behaviors of these black females in this film and it presents grown, educated, professional women as nothing more than immature children. And as I watched that trailer of that film, I just saw stereotypes being breathed new life into them, such as the Jezebel and the Sapphire in that trailer. And in this film, it degrades the image of this black woman, because here we have, even in the early scenes in the airplane, of the female talking about how many men she's going to be with, breathing a new life into the stereotype of this black woman being a Jezebel, being sexually promiscuous, and having no regard for her own health and safety. And we have other stereotypes like the Sapphire being loud, and even there may even be a mammy tossed in here. But when I look at this Girls Trip being a success, it's a black eye for black women, because this film does not present the image of black females in a positive light. Now, I know there are some people who sit there and say, oh, it's just a comedy and they're having fun, but this is not the type of comedy we should want reflecting on the image of black women. Because when it comes down to comedy, there's a difference between someone laughing with you and someone laughing at you. When someone is laughing with you, they're laughing at the situation that is transpiring around the people. They're laughing about things related to life and social situations. And when you're laughing with people, you're laughing at the things that are happening. When you're laughing at someone, you're laughing at that person, because that person is presenting themselves in a way that is reflective of something that is humiliating or embarrassing. And when I look at Girls Trip's comedy, it is the type of comedy that laughs at black women, not laughs with us in a situation where we're laughing at what is happening. We're laughing at the person because they are participating in stereotypical behavior and presenting themselves in the same way that many of the black minstrels used to present themselves in the 1930s. Because when I look at this Girls Trip movie, it is nothing more than a black female minstrel show. And in a minstrel show, white people used to make fun of black people. And this movie makes fun of black people. And what's really sad about this Girls Trip movie is that it's not white people making this minstrel show, it's black people. And it's black people who know better, like Spike Lee's cousin, Malcolm D. Lee, and people who have often talked about being self-aware, such as your Jada Pinkett Smith and your Queen Latifah. Two black women who have often made an effort to try to say we need to make more positive images of African Americans, but here they are playing minstrels in a minstrel show, showing us that they will compromise to be a part of black Hollywood and not do what is in the best interest of the black community. When I look at this movie, Girls Trip, I see another piece of media created by black people further tarnishes the image of African Americans and the African American image, because Girls Trip fits right in line with other degrading minstrel shows like Scandal, which is produced by Shonda Rhimes, Lee Daniels' Empire, and Lee Daniels' Monsters Ball, Lee Daniels' Precious, and all of those Tyler Perry movies. All I've seen over the last 16 years presented regarding the image of the black woman has been nothing more than a bunch of minstrel shows, and sadly, it seems like things aren't going to end. And that's what really scares me, because I don't see where the bottom is regarding all these minstrel shows being presented, because instead of black people standing up to fight back like they did in 1986 when Lisa Bonet wanted to be a part of Angel Heart, where black women came out and protested that film for degrading the black female image, we have black women going out of their way to support this type of media. And as those black women go out in groups to have scandal parties and then go out in groups to watch minstrel shows like Girls Trip, all that does is send a message to white liberal Hollywood that it's okay to degrade the image of the black woman, and it's okay to present black people in a negative light, showing the world how little black women love themselves and how little black women have value for self. Now, I know some of these Afro-American Negro females are going to come out here and talk about Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy's Bridesmaids or Scarlett Johansson's Rough Night and try to bring in the white people do it too argument. However, we as black people need to have our own standard. We cannot measure a black woman by the same standard that a white woman is measured, because white women are elevated to the most privileged position in society. So she can go out here and degrade her image because white men judge her by a completely different standard. Moreover, most white women will not go out and support a movie like Your Bridesmaids or a movie like Your Rough Night. In many cases, like a movie like Rough Night, there weren't that many white women going out to see that movie because they understood how it reflected on their image. So they didn't want to continue promoting the idea of themselves being drunken and debaucherous. And you would think black women would try to do things to elevate their own image and try to measure it by their own standard. Because if black women had any sort of moral position or self-esteem, they would not be trying to be imitations of white women. They would try to create their own standards as black women and try to maintain a high bar for their behavior and their conduct outside, because they know they would be judged by a completely different standard than white women. Because when these drunken white women go out here and have those wild nights, they are judged by their communities by a different standard. Whereas if a black woman does this, the whole world judges her in one standard, and that standard lowers her value in society and presents her in the most negative light. But you can't tell this to many of these Afro-American Negro women who have bought into the feminist movement and believe that they are women first and black second, not understanding they are being judged as black women first and only as the standard by the world. And when you're judged by that standard degrades them and lowers them. And it lowers their standard, their image in the face of black men. And when black men try to present themselves like I do and are critical of that behavior, you often have many of these black women coming out and saying that you are a sellout and an Uncle Tom or a coon, all because you want to see black females presented in a positive light, and you want black females to conduct themselves in a way that is respectable and presents them in a way that the world can see them as someone who deserves respect. Because when you look at the females in Girls Trip, these are not females who are showing the world that they deserve to be seen as someone who needs to be given respect, because they don't give themselves respect on screen. And what's really super sad about this film is that you have people like Jada Pinkett and Queen Latifah who are self-aware and they are lowering their standard and compromising their standard so they can get a paycheck in a film that further lowers the image of the African American woman already from its already lower position that has been dropped down to by people like Halle Berry and Monsters Ball, Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry, and Shonda Rhimes, and all these numerous twerk videos and all this other degrading content. That level was dropped to a low level before, and I keep wondering, when are we going to hit bottom? Because just as soon as we seem to hit bottom with the negative images of African American women, it seems like African American women go out and get some shovels and start digging deeper into the ground to see how far further they can drop their image. And it just makes me shake my head to see that this film got the number 2 at the box office and was the number 1 comedy in America, and that black people continue to support degenerate stuff like this and think that this is going to make them be seen in a positive light and that people are going to respect them. When you disrespect yourself, you send a message to the world that no one needs to respect you, and it's sad that most black women don't understand the old African proverb which says a race can rise no higher than the moral position of its women. Because if these black women would look at the bottom position that they're in, they'd see how far they have fallen and how far further they have dropped the image of the African American woman into the ground. And they are preventing the race from rising with their dysfunctional behavior and their continued support of dysfunctional behavior like this. Because I look at the behavior of the women in this Girls Trip movie, and then I look at the behavior of women who created the YouTube hit list a couple of months ago, and they wanted to flag a series of men who were critical of black women and presenting critical opinions regarding the degenerate behavior of black women in media, like your Scandal, like this Girls Trip, and like many other forms of media, and like many other behaviors we've seen in videos like twerk videos and fight videos, and we were critical calling it out, but they wanted to flag and censor those black men, but there's nothing but silence regarding this Girls Trip movie, a movie that degrades the image of African American women, a movie that breathes new life into old stereotypes about African American women, and a movie that slaps black women in the face by telling them they are, at 40 years old, they are nothing more than children to the world. If you'd like to help me make some more of these videos, you may donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to see some positive images of African American women, like those I present on my SJS Direct imprint with titles like The Thetas, Spinsterella, Spellbound, and A Recipe for Success, you can read some of my books on Amazon.com by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.